Hello, YouTube vintage stereo restorers and cassette deck likers, lovers. Here we go. Not many people are talking about cassette decks lately, but there is renewed interest. I'm seeing they got rid of the cassettes at the local thrift stores 5-6 years ago, and now they have cassette sections again. And they sell, because I go, every maybe week or so, and I see new titles and stuff. I'm really not a big fan of pre-recorded cassettes. I like making my own. I'm from the mixtape era where I would have a cassette deck in my car. And what I find is history's repeating itself. These Technics decks, just like very recently, Skylab's Audio did a thing about Technics turntables. Just what a great turntable they built, and how you really can't go wrong with a Technics turntable. Well, I feel the same way about their cassette decks. And there's a couple of things I just want to point out, and a little fix that we used to do in the shop. I know it's sideways, but maybe you can see the heads there. This here, okay, is a model M215. Right back. This is a 1980s cassette deck. They started to make them smaller, lighter, and lower the price. It's a lot of plastic. Metal chassis, a light-duty metal lid. But this model in particular, I picked this one up just like a week or so ago. Very low price. And this was the lowest model you could buy that had the MX head. And that was a big deal in those days. The MX head was compatible with metal tape. It was a harder, longer wearing head, tighter tolerances. So in this model you were getting bits and pieces of their higher end components. Now back in the day, I remember like working a Saturday where I'd be up on sales in the stereo shop, and these were flying out the door. It was just a very popular model. Same with like the Technics belt drive and direct drive turntables at the time too. And at the time I was maybe even a little bit snobbish towards them. Well, because of their lighter build quality and they were cheaper. I actually was a big fan of TIAC decks at the time. I was even into reel-to-reel at the time. So the TIAC decks, yeah, they were better. Especially some of their higher end ones. I had a V5 RX, which was, I'm thinking, around $600 back in '82. And it was a beautiful deck. It had built-in DBX system. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a couple things about this one. I didn't know what was wrong or what was right with this one when I bought it for $15. I didn't plug it in. I took it home. And yesterday evening I plugged it in and turned it on. And when you power these up, the motor comes on and it idles. So it turns the capstan pulley and this gear assembly here, which drives the reels, that comes on right away and it turns. It's actually not a bad idea. It's a one motor deck. It has 4 belts in it. And that's kind of like, oh, that's chintzy. But believe it or not, they're actually very reliable. And I took a really close look at these belts. These belts are fresh. It's like, oh, interesting. These are modern, like newer belts, the made in China ones. But they're all tight. They're not sticky, and everything turns. It plays, fast forward, rewind, all those things. It had one issue though. When you're doing playback, it was crackling in the left channel, so you'd stop it, hit play again, the left channel would go out. This was actually a common problem with them, and there's nothing broken on the deck. Okay? I'm just going to unplug it here while I stick my hands in. This long switch here is the play record switch. And it's activated by a lever that's activated by the record and play keys. And these get dirty, right? And it's a long switch with multiple contacts. And the thing to do, and this used to happen when they were only a few years old. You just get the little shot in neutral and leave it sitting in this position, and then work it in, and it will run down into the switch and it will clean it. That'll be good for quite a while. This was happening when they were only a few years old, mainly if it wasn't used much, put into play and record. So then there's a series of switches here. Give each one a little squirt. And where's this one? Right there. Like that. So these are the input select. So it has microphone jacks in the front, 1/4 inch. Hey, we used to plug instruments into them. Basic Dolby B&R, work that one a bit. 3-way tape selector, metal, chrome, normal. And every deck should have a phones jack. Anyway, I'm going to let that sit a little while, but I can tell you it will cure the problem. It almost sounds like a head problem, but it's not. That switch. And the other thing, of course, is getting it clean inside. I can see quite a bit of buildup on there. It's the old alcohol and Q-tip thing. I tend to use just a cotton cloth on the heads. Personally, a little bit of alcohol. The pinch roller, alcohol isn't that good for it. I use the 50-50 distilled water and alcohol to clean the pinch roller. And this is an interesting thing. I was just working on a 1973 dual 901 cassette deck, and it is 3 times as heavy as this, a top loader, has many more components, and it's actually a much nicer looking deck. It has a coolness to it, but the pinch roller is very tired. It gives it a little bit of wow and flutter when you're listening. There's something about these Technics pinch rollers, I don't know what the rubber is on it, but the ones from the 70s and 80s almost always will clean up and still be reasonably round. You know, it's like old tires. You pull a car out of a barn. I don't know if you've ever done this, but you buy somebody's car that's been sitting in a barn or in the driveway for 10 years. And you go down the road, it's like boom, 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 boom. That's basically what that is a little tire. Whatever technique used on these, I believe was some type of neoprene. Once you start using them again, they become round. Like they very rarely have a problem with the pinch roller. But there's some newer decks, like I was looking at a newer dual cassette deck. It was one of these brands we don't mention on my channel, Pile of something, and it was only 4 years old. I bought it for nothing at a garage sale. Both pinch rollers, it was a dual cassette deck, so there are actually 4 pinch rollers, 2 on each side because they were auto reversing. They were just like whoa, 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 whoa. I couldn't believe it. And I could not get parts for it either. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening.